This week on In the Field, back to the beaches, this time north of San Diego to Carlsbad. Hi everybody, I'm Scott Davenport. Welcome back to In the Field, this little series where I take you with me on my shoots for landscapes and seascape shots. And this week, headed to the northern beaches in the San Diego area, to Carlsbad. Quieter little area, and I actually had a really fun shoot there. And I need to head back to this place more often, particularly at low tide. This is a good low tide place. So let's just take a look on the maps. I'll show you some of the footage and then come back and talk about some of the things that I learned on this outing. So here we are in the photographer's ephemeris. We have San Diego downtown here, and to the north is the town of Carlsbad. And let me zoom into that area. You can see where we were shooting that day. There we go. So there's this inlet right about here, and there's jetties on either side of that. And to get our sunrise and sunset, plop that down on the beach right there. So the sun's coming in more or less due west, just slightly south. And let me move over to the maps view. So again, here's downtown San Diego, and Carlsbad's up here. Let me zoom in here. Hopefully the map will keep pace with me today. There we go. So here are these two jetties on either side of this inlet here. And I'll switch to the 3D mode, and you can see that this area is really just flat. It's flat beach. There's not much in terms of foreground, which you'll see in a minute here as we get out onto the scene. But as I spin this around, the sun would be setting off to this direction just a little bit here, and using the jetties and finding things along the beach to make the shot.
I'm standing in Carlsbad. The pack highway is right behind me. You hear the cars going by, I'm sure. And it's shaping up to be a very good sunset. Unfortunately, other than these jetties here, you can see the one on either side here, inlets to the lagoon behind me, there is really nothing else in terms of foreground. So I'm going to take a walk on either side and see if I can frame up with one of these jetties pointing out toward the sun. I've opted for the south side of the jetty, and the main reason is because this section of beach is much flatter. It has more space between the sand and the ocean, and I'm expecting some nice reflections in the wet sheen of the sand as the sun goes down. So I'm going to walk around here, do some test shots, set up, and then wait for the show. Well, the sunset is looking to fizzle out. A lot of cloud cover came in the last 45 minutes. So I am glad that I went to this side of the jetty. I am still getting some nice reflections in the sand here, because the sand's got a nice wet sheen to it. And I'm also playing with some very long exposures to help just smooth out the water and make the shot about this patch of seaweed here and the jetty in the background. I've set my aperture. I'm playing between f/16 and f/22, just experimenting around. And yeah, I think some of these will certainly won't be the brilliant sunset I'd hoped for, but there's going to be some nice shots.
As you saw, that there wasn't a lot of foreground interest. I more often shoot on the rockier coastlines, a little farther south, in La Jolla and in Solana Beach, and places where there are more bolder, larger foreground interests. But here they didn't have that. And that changed the mood of the shots that I came away with and the style that I went for. Much more simplistic compositions, doing more long exposures to smooth things out, and just had a more serene, calm feeling. And I guess that's really the tip of the week, is letting the scene speak to you and tell you how you need to either frame up your shots or the type of image that you're going for in the mood. Really taking those few moments before you just put the camera on the tripod and start shooting. Absorb the scene, get the feel of the place, and let that translate into your images. That is all for this week in the field. Please keep your comments coming. I recognize that there may be things I don't talk about or I don't cover, and it's not necessarily because they're not important. It's more likely that I just don't realize I'm not covering those things. As you get familiar with shooting certain subjects, some things become second nature and you forget to talk about them. You have a question? Let me know. Hit me up through the website. You can hit me up through comments on all the various social media sites. I'm on all the major ones. It's pretty hard not to find me. So keep the feedback coming. I really appreciate it. It helps keep me going. And I will be back again soon. See ya.